Is that East should develop more now, because unfortunately it has not developed as much as the West has developed. But we like to focus on this. So this seminar is taking place at the right time. Whatever ideas we generate from here, we like to support it. East is the sun rises in the East. So I think now the new dawn, the new development, new ideas will come from the East, which will take it forward. I will assure you full support. Please tell me, and we can even make policy changes. Whenever we are doing any FTA with other countries, we'll put your ideas into mind and develop them. So congratulations, thank you very much. And also thank General Roy Chaudhary and Sri Shekhar Datta for taking the initiative. Two of our prominent citizens, most honorable citizens of India, they have taken the lead, so I am sure it will succeed. Whatever help you need from me, I fully assure you to support it, both being my very good friends.
May I now request Shri Aniruddha Lahiri, Vice President, SNRSK, and the past President of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce Industry to discuss, to deliver the vote of thanks, and then we'll have a short break. While the mementos are being given, we'll do the changeover.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have taken Paranjoy's instructions, delivered with such style and panache. I couldn't but take it seriously. So I'm going to be very, very brief. And indeed, that's what all the speakers before me have done. So, Paranjoy, a couple of minutes. I think a lot has been said and discussed today, and following the excellent context-setting presentation that was made by Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha. And all the speakers thereafter have been very focused and talked about, their own perspectives, looking at it from their points of view, perspectives in developing and the need for developing the East and bringing in synergies amongst the Eastern countries, going beyond national borders. Well, I'm not going to labor the issues, and particularly because I'm aware of the time constraints. But I would say that the common thread that runs through everything that has been discussed and said this morning is the fact that, I think somebody said it actually, that the center of gravity, business, is shifting, of commerce, industry, economic value addition, economic development is gradually shifting to the East. Now this is a really fantastic opportunity for the eastern part of the country, but not just the country, the eastern part of the world, where we also have very developed economies like Japan and China. But there are other countries, the Asian tigers, as somebody mentioned. Even Vietnam is now becoming one of these hubs, development hubs. So I think we cannot ignore, but accept the fact that this is a wonderful opportunity for the eastern part of the world, the country and the world, who've been lagging behind the other parts of our country and the West, the Western world, to springboard or use this as a platform to launch themselves into a new paradigm of economic development. So that is the fact. So I would like to thank all our participants this morning, the inaugural session. I'm not going to individually mention them, but hearty thanks to all of them on behalf of SNRSK and on behalf of Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which organizes, both organizations have had a chance to serve at some point in time, and I am now associated with SNRSK. So on behalf of both these organizations, I thank you all very much, and some of them who've left in the meantime, for joining us and contributing your very valuable thoughts on the subject of how do we act, how do we participate in the active policy of the government, and therefore leverage this opportunity to springboard into an altogether different level of economic development. Thank you all again, and I would like to thank Paranjoy for having, as usual, facilitated and moderated the discussions in the morning. And may I also, I know it will be, somebody will come at the end to thank everybody, but let me take this opportunity to also thank our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, without whose generous help we would not have been able to organize this, because both these organizations are not-for-profit organizations. One is a representative of the industries, and the other one is a think tank. So I would like to particularly thank Haldia Petrochemicals Limited for being the gold sponsor, and all the names that you see on this panel at the back, I'm not going to mention all of them individually, but the oil companies, Unilever, Hindustan Unilever, ITC, and everybody, Shrey, and everybody else mentioned over here, who have come forward to help us out in organizing this event. So on behalf of all of you, I would like to thank once again everybody who participated in the inaugural session. Thank you very, very much. Thanks.
We are starting the next session. We have with us Dr. Probir De, Professor of RIS, chairing this session. And the panelists we have, Sri P. Padmanabhan, former Managing Director of Numaligarh Refinery Limited, Mr. Binod Kumar Bauri, CMD of Bauri Group, Lieutenant General J.R. Mukherjee, who is the Vice President of Seners, Mr. T.B. Chatterjee, who's Chief Corporate Officer, Legal and Corporate Affairs, DIC, and Bengal Chambers Indirect Taxes Committee Chairperson, Ms. Kosturi Bhattacharya, Senior Director, Industry and IoT Head of Ericsson, and Mr. Dinesh Thapa, Vice President Finance, Hindustan Unilever. Ladies and gentlemen, may we request silence and request you to please be seated, because we'll be starting the next session. With this, we would request our moderator, Mr. Paranjoy Ghotakurata, to please take the podium and take the session forward.
Hello. Daya kore boshe porun, please take your seat. We have very limited time, and our speakers are all here. Ladies and gentlemen, please be kind enough to take your seat as soon as possible. Okay, hello, 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 hello. Last and final call. Please, please, please come. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit down. It's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have here, I'll give very, very brief introductions to the panelists over here, the chairperson, the person who's going to chair this session, and thankfully I will have nothing to do with this. We have Dr. Probir De. He's professor at the RIS, which is, the original form was very, very long, Research and Information System for Developing Countries. Earlier it was called the Research and Information System for Non-Aligned and Developing Countries, if I'm not mistaken. We also are very happy to have with us Mr. Binod Kumar Bauri. He's Chairman and Managing Director of the Bauri Group. We have Lieutenant General J.R. Mukherjee, Vice President Operations at the Center for East and Northeast India Regional Studies, Kolkata, Seners K. We are very happy to have with us over here, General Mukherjee. Silence, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please do show some consideration for the panelists. Please, please, please. Even if you're not seated, please refrain from speaking. Hello. We are also very happy to have here Mr. T.B. Chatterjee, Chief Corporate Officer, Legal and Corporate Affairs of DIC India Limited and Chairperson of the Indirect Tax Committee of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. There's a lot of work these days with the GST happening, and we are very happy to have with us Ms. Kosturi Bhattacharya. She's Senior Director Industry and IoT. I don't know what IoT stands for. Internet of Things. Oh my God. Internet of Things. Ericsson, Head of Ericsson India Global Services Private Limited. We're also very happy to have with us here Mr. Dinesh Thapa. He's Vice President Finance, Hindustan Unilever. And also Shri P. Padmanabhan, Managing Director of Numaligarh Refinery Limited. So over to you, Dr. De. Do you still want me around? I can go there? No. I would rather not. You please, you do your job. Please. I'm running away. Okay. Over to Dr. Probir De.
We had a very excellent morning session moderated by Pranjay Go Thakurta. So to continue the tempo, and we have a very rich line of speakers. Because of the lack of time, what I do, I flare up the discussion in a way that we restrict to the topic, the driving force for India's Act East policy. So I thought to just give a quick idea, and my presentation is just a collection of some slides from several, some other research projects to give the eminent speakers that this is the Act East policy. So when they speak from their company's perspective, from their corporate perspective, they should link it with Act East, not just as standalone presentations about their business activities. Quickly, 8 states. Let's come this, statistics not always reveal everything, but it stops something. See, in the population, it is about the Bengal. The rest of the states are very negligible except the Assam. So about 10% of the population here of 8 states coming from the India. It's quite a big, 1 billion, 10% is quite a big numbers. But when it comes to the GDP, the market, except Bengal, rest are very, insignificant in terms of the current price in 2015-16 figure. And Bengal GDP contribution to the India is also declining, and you know the reasons, and we have discussed in the morning session. Export, the indicator that links with very much with the title, the Act East policy. Act East policy is a foreign policy doctrine. There is nothing written in any book anywhere in the parliament or in the assembly about Act East or Look East policy. It is the ideology looking at the eastern side, eastern neighbors, do more business activities. That's why in the morning, in the first session, the Consul General from the US, he rightly said, good point, that western states, northern states, southern states are doing well, and he looked at the regional disparity, because India state with the US, India state with Japan, India state with China will be growing. Contribution from this part, which used to be the vibrant, the capital of the Asia, is declining. So what we were going to do, you will be mainly producing the labor-intensive goods, which will be preferred by in the locality. That should not be ideally. So exports here, the statistics indicates that's very negligible. Even the 3-digit, 4-digit level, you cannot make out what's going on. By the way, by the Constitution of India, states have no power. It says central government policy. So inclusive approach is not there. I quote unquote within some authority. But you look at the per capita income, absolutely, if you look at Delhi, at the current price, almost touching $4,000, but other states is far behind. So it is the consumption point, it is going to be not a producing center. Now come to how we can change it. If you look at the border, I have given the northeastern states their border with Bangladesh and Myanmar. So many functional border, the length, etc. Yeah. But we are, there is nothing much coming out from the border because except Bangladesh, when you come to the Myanmar, it's hardly anything. We do the trade. We don't have any production links. Morning session, the gentleman from the JETRO, he was trying to give a flavor about the value chain links. So it's a beginning that we have to start. I think that's what we will be looking at, how they will, when they look at for the investments from how they will bring Bengal or northeastern states. But when the Commerce Minister, Honorable Minister, he talked about the one bottom line, if there is an FTA, free trade agreement, we will be looking your views. But what would be your views? Eastern part or northeastern part, because you will be only just consuming as an exporter or importer, not a producers. So your views will not be heard in that way. So, but you look at this kind of a diagram. I mean, you may not, it's not visible from the panelists from here, but from you, these are the free trade agreement, one after another. Government of India is implementing, across the world, and most of them centering northeastern India and in the eastern neighborhoods. So trade investments through this FTA is actually coming, to somewhere in India, not basically in the eastern, northeastern, except the Sun Pharmaceutical. I think there is a pharmaceutical company which are operating business in Rangpo, border Bengal and Sikkim. They are going to Thailand or Malaysia or in Myanmar. But what is the future? The gentlemen here, they will tell us, because look at next 50 years, the scenario. So this is not that, this is done by the big organizers like IRIA, which is based in Jakarta, in consultation with Japan, US, Chinese. So these are the hubs, the Guwahati, Kolkata, Chennai, Sitwe, Mandalay, Kunming, and these are the names you have heard in the morning sessions. So they are going to be bigger and bigger. So the policies that we take from the government, the suggestions, recommendations coming from private sectors, they should look at these are the big spots which will be next 20 years to 50 years horizons. But things are not so, bad. Look at I have taken up the photographs in northeastern India, what's happening. You go for any construction, it is in the northeastern part. These are the 4 photographs. The railway line, we are taking it to the Imphal city. World tallest railway line is coming up in that part. So tunnel number 18, this is another tunnel, 40 tunnels. This is a huge task to bring your railway line, because railway systems is actually changing the whole scenario. People are feeling very proud about getting integrated to the India. Let me come to the value chains. I think there are presentations from companies. They will also tell us that how, like Unilever, Hindustan Lever, Unilever, they are having a plans, they are having some business in the Guwahati. So tourism sector, education sector, health, bamboo, rubber, cement, floriculture, processed food, horticulture. So these are the main business clusters, investment clusters are being focused in the northeastern and eastern part of India, looking at the part of Actist policy, which will be driving the northeast, which will be driving our Actist policy, looking at Southeast Asia, particularly the ASEAN, with which India we have a free trade agreement and a very deep free trade agreement. Except 25 items, most of the trade items are made free, no restrictions. So these are the sectors we need to look at, we do more. These are the mappings and all, no need. Coming to the connectivity, General Mukherjee is here, he will speak more on it, I believe. So these are the projects, by the Government of India projects, looking at from Moreh all the way to, Mekong, Indochina regions. So this is the structure. And some of the projects which are focusing on the northeast, there are eminent speakers who will be speaking on it, like Kaladan multimodal transit transport. This is elevated to in a very serious level. We have a APC contractor given the task. Port has been completed, and it is by 2020. These Kaladan projects from Calcutta to Sitwe and all the coming back to Zorinpuri and then to Aizawl, this will be come down. Then trilateral highway in the morning, Khun, the gentleman from Thai Embassy, he touched upon it, but the actual fact is that NHAI, Punj Lloyd, another company, they have given the EPC contractor work to the rest part of the, incomplete part of the trilateral highway, which is about 120 kilometers. NHAI has given a special task to open office in Yangon, in Mandalay, and the local areas. I think Kutch's people are here. They have been doing something there along with NHI. So very much, on the field about the completion of the highway, but it will take time, again, by 2020. Ritidim Road, feasibility is going on, but General Mukherjee, again, he will highlight some other projects which are, trial run has been completed, like Imphal-Mandalay bus service, Dhaka-Shillong Guwahati services. Air India is going to start an ATR from Guwahati to Dhaka and the Sylhet, some small aircraft, because Guwahati is coming an hub for the health tourism. So also in the Imphal. So these are the ongoing projects. I think for the sake of discussions I have highlighted. Let me give you another, the hope. What is the hope? This is the Meghalaya-Bangladesh border. You have seen the photograph. This is the border we have, which is Dauki in Tamabil. This side, I took the photograph from the Indian side. There is nothing. So immense opportunities to build this kind of border, to make it is big project. So I think this is the recommendations of Bengal Chamber and here the panelists, they should give us. But there is a risk as well. In the name of trade, hills are being, destroyed. This is taken the photograph again on the way to Bangladesh. We are cutting the hills, taking out the, materials being sold, getting it sold to the market like Bangladesh. This should be stopped. So this is, I thought to, give you some background about the lookist policy to actist policy, what we are doing in the northeast with eastern India. So when the gentleman, when you speak, you keep this in mind and benefit the, participants here with your expertise. Thank you very much. So I will then go by in order of the program. So let me now invite Mr. Bowley, who is the chairman of Management Bowley. So sir, 8 to 10 minutes for you. 5 minutes. Rather than 4.5.
What I would like to do is, as I said, I'll only take maybe 4.5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. But in this 5 minutes, I'd like to share and bring up what can we really do for the Northeast. With all my experience and 40 years of working here, I'm trying to bring in 5 things which are simple, which are doable. And if we do them, and if we do them well, I think there'll be a very big change in the Northeast. What are these 5 things? These are related to people. They are related to what are the support steps. Related to people, what do we do about the development of the people, and what do we do about cultural aspects of the people. And the supports are, I believe, I'll talk to you in the next slides. In respect to people, they're very good people in the Northeast. I mean, they're really good people in the Northeast, where I have very hospitable. If you have been to the Northeast, you'll find that the people are very, very hospitable. They're also very, very industrious. If you go to, I do not know how many of you know, that in Manipur, for instance, 40 years back, they would make bamboo cycles. Very, very, very high quality bamboo cycles. This sort of talent is available there. What I also see is, I'm associated with a organization called My Home India, which looks after children of the Northeast going out of the Northeast. 20 to 25,000 children of the Northeast go out of the region every year. Now, this is a very, very large number of people. And if you really look at the people of the Northeast, you go to Bangalore, you go to Bombay, you go to Delhi, and you go to the hotels and other places, you'll find that it is people of the Northeast who are running these hospitable industries. So why can you not have, I'll come to that later on, but then, well, these people are available. So what should be happening? It is train them up. Train them up for the right thing. Train them up for hospitality. Give the best institutes. Just having an IIT, 80% or 90% of the people studying the IIT will not be from that region. It's not really helping that region. Give other best quality education institutes of the top class. I mean, bring the best institutes. I think this is what we should do. Recently, if you would know, Government of India has signed an agreement with Japan. They were sending 3 lakh people to train. Now, out of that, if you really look at it from East itself, with whatever the population, what is the numbers, no, the numbers don't match. What else can we do? The next is, I'm talking about culture, which is, we have to be conscious that we have to build a culture. Culture matters. The culture matters. Whatever is the culture matters. So bring in more transparency and openness in government's working. Try to promote the spirit of inquiry, innovation and entrepreneurship. Because this is what would help a lot. How do we do it? That's a different question. Also try to see that the governments we elect governments which are corruption free. If we can do that, some sort of culture change. But we have to be conscious that culture does matter. Next 3 things that I'm suggesting. Tourism. I mean, it's pristine. People are hospitable. You see these people there. I think infrastructure, a large amount of infrastructure is also being now developed. But it's the last mile connectivity. I mean, there are slopes in Arunachal which they say are better than Switzerland. But how do you reach them? How do you go there? How do you stay there? So if you can promote tourism, it doesn't also change the population balance. People like it. I think this is one thing which we should promote in the Northeast. Energy. I mean, it's the center of energy. Mr. Bhattacharya is here. He talked about coal. There is some coal there, but more than that, the hydropower. Large amount of hydropower and also fossil fuels. The mapping of that region for geological mapping, I'm sure Mr. Padmanabhan is here, he would know the mapping has not been done. So how would you explore it? How would you explore it? But I think there's a large amount of potential. So Northeast, you also look at Northeast as a center for energy and develop that. Next that I'm saying is trade with Bangladesh. We under India Foundation, we have every year dialogue at a very high level. The ministers from there come, the MPs come, we come. We were there 3 months back. And we passed a resolution every year, but then resolutions don't get implemented. We said, look, we have the best of relationships with Bangladesh. Why can't we not see that trade, travel and tourism is increased by at least 5 times in 5 years? It's possible. I mean, what does happen is, trade barriers is, I think the Bangladesh gentleman was saying that, well, if I have to send something from Chittagong, I'll have to send to Vizag. Why? Because there is some bureaucratic hassle there. So if we can promote trade to our travel and tourism with Bangladesh, if we do these 5 things, I think there would be a large amount of impact. What you wanted me to do is to suggest what could be done. This is what I feel. And, well, how will it happen? Execution. Execution, we're very, very weak in terms of execution. High in-depth analysis of what is the last thing to be done. All right, you want to promote tourism, but then what do I do in terms of tourism? What is the last mile? That sort of detailing is not being done. And this, to my mind, is largely government-driven.